It's not only about the bragging rights, it's about representation, prowess, flexibility, and adequate information for a solution-focused initiative. We crowned a champion in the third edition of the Speak and Solve initiative, SASI. It was a tough challenge, but an ultimate winner emerged. Taking the trophy, which has been in the custody of the Harare Institute of Technology, the Lupane State University held the cup for the first time, marking themselves as the team to beat in the fourth edition of the SASI debate. They fought a good fight. Will they follow in the footsteps of their predecessors and be the winners this year? Do they have what it takes to take it home yet again?
The family decided that, you know what, we should get a doctor. They come and test everyone else. Everybody get tested. Then we see what we do from there. But nobody should go outside. We should just stay in our homes. Then I discovered I was COVID positive. I didn't know what to tell or what should I tell my friends, you know, how it was. It got to me the following day. When now people are now showing you that you are now different. Right? You're now different. You need to stay on your own. You need to do stuff on your own. People are wearing masks around the house. People are wearing gloves around the house. People are eating on their own. And then you are on your own. They talk to you, but it's just one of those. You know how it is. They try to make you feel comfy, but then it's different. So that's when it's really struck me that, you know what, I'm positive. And I might just die. The same way these guys did. Yes, people are dying, but you can recover. Because let me tell you one thing that kills people the most. It is the psychological mindset. That's what kills people. The moment you have that thought, fine, you're sick, but the moment you realize that you're sick and it's bad, it even gets worse. But you are sick and then you realize that, you know what, I know it could be okay, it could be fine, staying positive at all times.
Hello, my name is Nadia Mutisi. I'm a second-year law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
My name is Ebeneza Kudita from the University of Zimbabwe.
I'm very excited to be part of the 2021 SASI debate competition.
I think last year we came so close, but this year we're more than confident and ready that we are bringing the trophy home this year.
I think we've come so close so many times, and every other time that we came so close, we went back and we got the trophy. So definitely, University of Zimbabwe is coming to conquer in 2021.
My message is very clear that this year things are going to be different. This year they will see a team that they've never seen before, and they are most definitely going to lose this year.
Hi guys, my name is I'm from Lupane State University.
Hi guys, my name is Joachim Yoni, studying with Lupane State University.
Well, personally I'm very comfortable. I think he's the best partner that I could have. And as far as coordination is concerned and everything is perfectly fine.
Well, I mean, she's the best partner that I've ever had. So she's enthusiastic, she's positive. You know, everything she does is just on point. So I'm happy to be with her.
I would say yes, we're doing our best, and I first believe we can. But well, stuff happens at the end of the day. But yeah, we can. We do.
I mean, you know, as long as everything goes good, why don't we stand a chance?
Obviously. They're surprises, number one, because Jay is a pretty much different partner. He's one person that you haven't seen on your screens. Of course, maybe you've seen me before or whatsoever.
For my fellow contestants, I mean, I would love to say that this is a competition. Do your best and just take it personally.
It is the final pair in the first round of the SASI debate competitions 2021, and we are down to Lupane State University and the University of Zimbabwe. Remember, our theme for this year is debating with hope for a better and healthier future for all. Now, we have been asking our teams to debate on different motions. Some of them were marked on in grade 5, and a lot has happened, and I hope you've been following it, and I hope you've been commenting and let us know your thoughts. But as we sift through the final pair, let us know who you want to see in the finals. Who do you think has what it takes after this pair to take the trophy home? Now, we are going to start off with just a quick introduction. Like I said, I'm biased with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed, biased. Gentlemen in the lovely, I like, is it a blouse, a shirt? Shirt, in your lovely shirt. Your name and what you're studying.
Okay, my name is Brian Tulani Ngwenya, and I'm studying Urban and Regional Planning, Part 2 at Lupane State University.
All right, young lady.
My name is Sitachi Siwekwaze. I'm studying Languages and Communication at Lupane State University, Part 3-2.
Okay, thank you. And the pair on my right, lovely lady.
Hello, my name is Nadia Mtisi. I'm a second-year law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
All right.
Hi, my name is Ebenezer Kudita from the University of Zimbabwe. I'm studying economics.
Okay, all right. Teams, are you ready for your motion? I haven't forgotten anyone this time, have I? No, I've got everybody. Just making sure there's a little mishap. Just making sure it's all right. Okay, so the motion is: this House would make COVID-19 vaccine a compulsory and mandatory procedure for all citizens. This House would make COVID-19 vaccination a compulsory and mandatory procedure for all citizens. Are we clear on what our motion is? Yes? All right. And on the affirmative side, we have Lupane State University, and the opposers are University of Zimbabwe. Now, please pay attention to this next bit of information. It will inform your arguments. All right. We will be starting off with the opening speeches from the affirmative team. Opening speech will be 4 minutes. After your 4 minutes is up, you will be cross-examined by the opposers. Opposers, the cross-examination time is 1 minute 30 seconds. All right? Once you have done that, opposers, it will be your turn to give us the opening speech. That is 4 minutes. And once that is done, the affirmative team will cross-examine the opposers, and that is 1 minute 30 seconds. Once that is done, the opposers will rebut. That is 4 minutes. And then we'll also get a rebuttal from the affirmative team. That's another 4 minutes. Finally, we will come to our closing remarks from the opposers, and that will be 3 minutes. Affirmative team will then close the session, and that is another 3 minutes. When I say stop, whether you are mid-sentence, about to begin a sentence, still figuring out your thoughts, or you have 2 words left, you stop talking immediately. Are we clear? Are we ready to begin? All right, I did mention that we have Lupane State University on the affirmative side and opposers University of Zimbabwe. So Lupane, are you ready to give us your opening remarks? All right, please make sure the microphone is on and is facing you so we can pick you up with no difficulties. Your clock starts now.
First thing, ladies and gentlemen, is to look at the status quo. How has COVID-19 affected our day-to-day lives? People are dying on a daily. Take a look at yesterday's statistics, for instance. Yesterday, 1,540 new cases were reported with 33 deaths. What effect then does this have? This has led to the government announcing the lockdown that was announced last week, which mentioned that 40% of workers are supposed to be at work. This therefore means that a number of people are losing their jobs. And due to unemployment that is being created by the announcement of lockdown, we are having a high rise in criminal rates. We are speaking of the cases of the Mashurukwis in Midlands. We're speaking of the high number of armed robbery cases in Bulawayo. Right. Moving forward, we are saying that a lot of people have been stripped of their social life. And if they've been stripped of their social life, this has led to an increase in the high number of GBV cases that we have seen, as evidenced by the case of a Makandeni woman who was fighting with the husband over a TV remote and ended up killing the husband. Panel, why am I telling you all this? I'm giving you reasons as to why COVID-19 vaccine should be compulsory. First, we understand that the vaccine is meant to immunize against getting the said disease. But what we are saying is we are in a pandemic, and the only way to do this is to curb, the rise in COVID cases. And what we are saying is, we note for the fact that World Health Organization mentions that for a vaccine or for a medication to be on the shelves is to undergo, 5 years under trial, getting to understand how it works in different regions and all over the world. And therefore, we are treating this as a matter of urgency. What we are saying, therefore, panel, is that the government should take the paternal part in doing this and, prioritize the health of all people over the few, perceptions of different people.
All right. University of Zimbabwe, are you ready with your cross-examination? All right, your clock starts now.
In your speech, you talked about the importance of COVID-19, of vaccination, which we agree with. You didn't explain why it should be forced on people. Please explain why you think it should be forced.
I think it should be forced on people because even you as an individual, when you get sick, it's the overall burden on the government. You go to the public hospitals, that's where you get.
Do you think that all things that are beneficial to society should be forced on people?
If it's for the greater good, yes, they should be forced on the people.
Okay. You talked about social cases. Are those a reason? Do you think that making this mandatory will make vaccines available?
Looking at a country like Zimbabwe, where we're getting vaccines being donated, we are saying that if everyone is forced to be vaccinated, then we are going to deal with a number of people, and people are just going to go back to their normal lives.
Also, when you say that you're going to make it mandatory, what exactly do you mean? Are you going to be dragging people out of their homes and forcibly, putting injections into their arms? What exactly do you mean?
We are saying that we're going to come up with a new policy that is going to make it mandatory for people to be vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm asking what type of policy?
It is going to criminalize not being vaccinated.
Okay. Lastly, do you think that vaccination will happen in time to solve the problems that you've been describing all along?
Better now than never.
And we're done. And well done for actually being able to squeeze in your answer. All right. Okay, so our opposers, are you ready for your opening remarks?
Ready.
All right, and your clock starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team University of Zimbabwe does not think that vaccination is a terrible thing. In fact, we think that vaccination is an amazing thing. What we think is wrong in this particular instance is coming before a whole debate or a whole panel and telling them that we're going to force people to get vaccinated. Panel, we think that vaccination is a good thing, as evidenced by the smallpox that was declared eradicated in 1980. However, we think that there's a tug of war that is taking place in this particular debate today. The tug of war is taking place between the pandemic, or trying to solve the issue with the pandemic, versus democracy. Panel, we think that Section 3 of our Constitution highlights that Zimbabwe is a constitutional democracy. What does that mean? We think that any law that you then pass ought to be intra-vires the Constitution. We think that there ought to be a regard for people's different belief systems in our particular society, and we think that that's very important. So in a nation where certain people believe that they don't want to take the vaccine because it goes against their Christian beliefs, where they shouldn't have that particular vaccine, where someone says, I have asthma, and if I take this particular vaccine, it's going to cause more of a problem in my body than anywhere else. We think that bodily autonomy is very important in this particular debate and ought to be really considered in this particular debate today. We think that at a point where someone can just arbitrarily tell you that we're going to take away your right over freedom of choice, your right over your own body, we think that that can be used against you in the future. We think, number one, that it sets a bad precedent when it comes to us, then in the future policies and all of that. We think that democracy is a very sensitive and volatile thing, particularly in our society where we have Zimbabweans who fought for liberation and fought to actually have democracy within their particular society. We think that trust is a very important thing between the government and its people. Where the government then loses trust with its people, we think that there's going to be instability that then takes place within a particular nation, right? We think that our argument in this particular debate today is that we can actually win the war or without compromising our values of democracy, or without compromising the social contract theory that exists between the people and the government. What are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Panel, we present to you herd immunity. What does herd immunity mean? We mean that there ought to be a significant number of people within our society that are vaccinated. Why do we think this is going to be working in our society without actually forcing people to get vaccinated? We look at the situation de facto. De facto, what are we talking about in Zimbabwe? We're talking about how there is a mandate to vaccinate people, right? But then at the same time, there aren't enough vaccines to be able to vaccinate everyone. That's how doses are coming in 50,000, 25,000. People all want to get vaccinated. People are queuing at 4 a.m. trying to get vaccinated at Paringatwa, right? What does that mean? That means that there are people that actually want to get vaccinated, but there aren't enough vaccines. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? It is not necessary to then force people to get vaccinated because people, number one, are actually willing. The problem is actually the government that can give us the vaccine in the way that we want it to be given to us, right? So panel, what are we telling you today? We're telling you that we can have herd immunity without needing to force people, without needing to compromise democracy, without needing to compromise anything, right? So panel, what exactly are we saying from, what do you hear from the University of Zimbabwe? We tell you that it's very important for us not to force people because of the importance of democracy. We tell you, again, that it's very preposterous, very ridiculous that you're going to tell me to put something, ingest something in my body which I do not want to give, which I don't want to ingest, right? We think that is very problematic, particularly where we tell you that these particular vaccines, they mentioned that you're supposed to have like 5 years to go through the whole procedure of being told that, oh, the vaccine is now ready for you to put it in your body. These vaccines have only been authorized, like there's only been a form of authorization called emergency authorization. So I'm supposed to put something in my body that has not gone through 5 years. When did coronavirus start? Around 2019. 5 years has not even ended. I'm supposed to put something, and you're forcing me to put something in my body that you haven't even fully tested. There's only been emergency authorization. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we don't think it is very justified, especially when we look at the fatality rates, right? We tell you that for children under the age of 9 years, right, the fatality rate of someone under the age of 9 years is 0.016%. So tell me, as a 9-year-old, why you must force my child or force me to get this particular vaccine when I'm not really going to die. Like, the people that are going to die from this is like one out of like a lot, right? You're probably not even going to die from this particular vaccine, but someone else is forcing you. Panel, we think that our stand in this particular debate is very, very clear. Democracy is important. My choice is important. My rights are important, and that ought not to be taken by any single one or taken arbitrarily, especially in a situation where democracy is sensitive and volatile to the people. Thank you very much.
Well done, with 1 second to spare, even though it's one in a lot. Right, are you ready with your cross-examination?
Yes, I am.
Okay, your clock begins now.
Nadia, do you understand that human rights exist to a certain extent?
I do understand that, but I don't think this particular right can be limited.
What makes you say that?
We think that democracy is a very important thing in any society. That for our society to be able to be balanced, it ought to actually have democracy.
Do you understand the matter of agency of a state, and do you understand that this is a scourge that has affected everyone globally? It's not Zimbabwe only, but people are dying on a daily basis, and so it's a scourge. Do you
Perfectly. That's why we gave you the solution of herd immunity, which is going to work perfectly.
How is that a solution if it's not offering any cure, if it's not offering any immunization, if it's not offering any way to flatten the curve, just like we are saying that, as we were saying that we should at least vaccinate everyone?
Okay, thank you so much. Zimbabweans want to get vaccinated, ladies and gentlemen. The vaccine is just not enough, but we want to, so we don't have to be forced because we want to.
Okay, so clarify on the contradiction that everyone is willing to, but then there are shortages of vaccination. And then you also go to the point of saying that, well, we shouldn't be forced because if I don't want to be injected, I don't want to be injected. What exactly do you mean? I'm losing you right now. I can't understand. Is the problem the shortages or the problem not you wanting to be vaccinated?
Okay, the shortage is the problem to do with the government, not me. But we are saying that in cases where someone has asthma, someone has another issue and they don't want to get vaccinated, or they have their beliefs, then that person ought not to be forced. There are already like 70% of people that want to be vaccinated.
That there are about 5 vaccinations that have been approved by WHO, which means that they might be compatible with different people.
All right, very feisty bunch. Okay, we're taking a moment to breathe, ladies. Breathe. Are we good? All right. So, opposers, it is your turn to give us your rebuttal. Are you ready?
It's my turn?
Mm-hmm. You're the opposers. Don't be fast forward. Relax. Are you ready? Is your microphone on? Yes. Okay. All right. Your clock starts now.
COVID-19, in terms of people under the age of 12, has a 0.01% fatality rate.
Of the people who are most vulnerable, there are people above 80. The fatality rate is 7.8%, of which out of those, 90% of those have pre-existing conditions. What does this mean? It means that COVID-19 is not a fatal disease, which does not require a mandatory vaccination. If it was a disease that had more than a 30% fatality rate across the board, then those are the diseases that require a mandatory vaccination. What we're saying here now is that we have a situation whereby there are priorities. If we say everyone should get mandatory vaccination, it means that people who are most likely, who've got less than a percentage chance of dying, are getting vaccinated. And it means that those who actually need the vaccination, the people who are vulnerable, are not. The current program is working and there's no need to change your prioritization. Already there's a crisis of vaccinations and they're not enough, and saying that everyone should be vaccinated is very preposterous and very unreasonable. The priority right now is the people over the ages or who have got pre-existing conditions and are over the age of 80, those who are most vulnerable, are the ones who are getting vaccinated and the ones who are being prioritized. We think this is a solution that works. For any vaccination to be mandatory, understand they have been ignoring what mandatory actually means. When you're saying mandatory, we're saying that it is a crime and you can get arrested and it's illegal for you not to get something. And for government to take such a drastic action, there needs to be a drastic need. And I'm saying that explain to a child who's below 12 years old, who's got a 0.0016% of dying, why something that has not been fully tested needs to be injected into their system. Nadia tells you already that these things have not been properly tested, they've only been granted as an emergency. And you're saying that an entire country of 10 million people in Zimbabwe should have that thing that has not been fully tested, which is an experiment. We think that's bad government and bad policy. Something should only be mandatory when it poses a very large harm to society. 1. 2, the importance of vaccination. Understand that here the debate should not be about whether vaccines are good. The debate is, should people be forced to do so? In Zimbabwe, we respect religion. Any individual who does not want to, because of religious reasons, whatever reasons, and does not want to get vaccinated, should not be getting vaccinated. Why should you force a person who, by I mentioned, there's a less than a percentage chance of dying to get vaccinated of COVID-19? We think this is a very, very discussion that we need to have. If you look at the statistics in terms of people who are dying, the people who are being affected the most are the elderly one and the people who have pre-existing conditions and who are being prioritized in terms of vaccination of COVID-19. Out of the people who get vaccination who don't have pre-existing condition, there's an over 95% recovery rate over those people. So why are healthy people who are going to survive COVID-19 being forced to vaccinate? The debate should not be about the importance of vaccination. We've all agreed about it. So any argumentation about why it's important should not be considered. The argumentation that STAR needs to prove in the debate is, why should I be forced? They are saying that we should be forced because it's killing people, and I'm saying that the people who we are forcing to do so, number one, don't really need the vaccine, that don't really need it because they have a less than a percentage chance of dying, and number two, by so doing, it means that you make the people who actually need vaccines not have access to them because they're in short supply. It means that elderly people are not being able to access the vaccine, the people with conditions are not being able to access these things, and therefore this becomes a problem. But also, let's have a bigger conversation about this. When you pass by Paranyat, you will notice that there is always a large group of people waiting to get vaccine, which in and within itself is a threat to COVID-19. COVID-19 is being spread within these vaccination queues. So this is an instance where it's not mandatory. Imagine when we now say if you don't get vaccinated, it's now a crime and you get arrested. We have an even larger spread of COVID-19 in these very same queues because people are queuing up, number one. Number two, and understand that such a policy of forcing people to do something needs trust. Do the Zimbabwean people trust their government enough for this policy to be successful? We think that you create a society that has social disharmony rather than a harmonized society. We need solutions that bring people together and allow people to work together. When you're saying in government that people don't necessarily trust and you're saying something should be forced, we think that causes a lot of disharmony in society. Thank you. We've never been prouder to win. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You wanted to go on, but you were out of time. It's all right. Okay. I like how Lupane State was really paying attention and jotting down, and they were busy. I hope we're going to get a really good rebuttal from them. Are you ready? Lupane, are you ready?
Yeah.
Your clock starts now.
Okay, so everyone is talking about the current measures that are working, but then, ladies and gentlemen, you should ask yourself that if they are working, why then are we on lockdown at this moment in time? And then also, why are we having our workers being slashed? For example, at Zimbabwe, at this point where I work, we're not allowed to be more than 40 in the building. So which means that my working numbers have been reduced. If this was working, then why am I not going to work on a daily basis? And then you're telling me that I should be giving you the reasons as to why why this should be mandatory. Yes, it should be mandatory because we have to ensure that at the end of the day, if everyone is vaccinated, we can all go back to normalcy, because when everyone is vaccinated, we can be certain that our economy can be back and running again. And then we need to pay attention to the fact that this COVID-19 situation is actually a motive. It's recurring. Since it's been 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, since we've been living with this thing in our life, it's now a part of us. So if we want to ignore it and say that it's not necessary for everyone to be vaccinated, we're actually lying to ourselves. And then when it comes to paternalism, we are saying that the government should take a paternal state when there is a crisis or a pending danger. In the event that does not happen, everyone is doomed. Why are we saying that? We are saying that at this point in time, the government should make decisions based on what is necessary, not based on what your feelings or based on your cultural morals or your religious values. Ladies and gentlemen, this has affected us on all spheres of our lives, which is why it is necessary for us to make sure that we embark on the necessary changes. We are talking about human rights, and I asked her, to what extent do you understand that human rights exist to a certain extent? What was I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that we're talking about kids at a very early age. They are all forced vaccinated for polio and for whatsoever. Why are you then making it an issue now that it's a COVID-19 vaccination? You do understand that these rights have always applied and they will apply, but we should understand that in the event that the state has to take necessary measures, they should, without catering for what your personal feelings are. So you're talking about religious values and everything. Yes, we understand that. Ladies and gentlemen, if this was the same case about HIV, about smallpox, which was vaccinated back in the day, where do you think we would be? We will still be suffering with all those pandemics because there are people who are scared that this might be the mark of the beast or whatsoever. It is so unnecessary and it's so outrageous for people to be thinking like that. We should be catering about our lives. And let's pay attention to the fact that contracting COVID-19 is a shared responsibility. You catch it, you pass it. It's not that you have it and then you maintain it to yourself. So no, it is very necessary for people to be vaccinated, and all of them. You're talking about queues in the hospitals where people are contracting this where they are getting the COVID-19. But you're actually wrong. You see, where we are getting the problem is the economical situation, which is completely deteriorating because of the negative impact that have been brought by the COVID-19, right? So those queues, we have queues in the buses. We have people, the stampedes in Shepins, people trying to make business. We have stampedes and people in the streets in Bulawayo trying to sell in the corridors and running away from the police and all and so forth. But imagine if everyone was vaccinated and everyone was allowed to go to the market and then everyone can exercise their freedom to actually sell perfectly fine. All those things could be curbed. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the fact that the COVID-19 vaccination flattens the curve. And yes, we need it. We need everyone to make sure that they're vaccinated, because it does not make sense for one person to be vaccinated and the next partner not to be vaccinated, because what is the point at the end of the day? Remember, it lessens, it does not cure, and it does not immunize. Therefore, everyone should be vaccinated.
All right. Thank you very much. Opposers, let's have your closing remarks. 3 minutes on the clock. It starts now.
It's unfortunate that today's debate has been reduced to be a debate about necessity of vaccines, when that was never the debate. Vaccines are important, and we agree. When you talk of polio and all those diseases that children are vaccinated against, those are diseases that had a mortality rate of above 80%, which means 80% of people who got polio died. We're talking about a disease that has a less than a percentage mortality rate. 80% and 1%, I think mathematics means that are not the same thing. The COVID-19 is not as fatal as all the other diseases that are being vaccinated against, which we think comparing them are not the same thing. First, number one, summary of the debate. Also, that we need to understand that what is more important, getting everyone vaccinated or getting the people who need vaccination vaccinated? What do I mean? Should we prioritize getting every person, even those with the less than 0.01% of dying, or should we prioritize those
who are most vulnerable, the elderly, people in our society, the people with vulnerable conditions. Because understand that making vaccine mandatory does not mean the vaccine becomes available. It just means that you've got more people who want it, but no one, and the people who really need it are not getting it. We need to be smart when it comes to vaccination and dealing with COVID-19. We talked of herd immunity. What herd immunity means is that not everyone needs to get vaccinated for something, for a disease to go away. At least 50%, between 50 and 70% of the population need to get vaccinated, which is the current direction that we're heading at, not everyone. Which means that we also leave those who believe in their religious freedoms of everyone alone and not create social disharmony in society. We think that's far more important. But also we think that the debate about this debate is not also just, like, they're talking about a lot of economic repercussions, and we agree with that. But we think that making it mandatory does not even solve the problem, because number one, the biggest problem is we don't have the vaccine. So the question is, the vaccine that we do have, how do we best use it such that number one, people don't die, and such number two, people go back to work? If you look at the global society, no country has implemented a mandatory vaccine. It means something. It means number one, it does not need, and number two, most countries are reopening. The United States of America is open, Britain is open, and those are countries that do not have put this policy. The only reason why those countries are admitted that they had enough vaccines for people who need them. Let's get enough vaccines to the country. Let's get people who need vaccines vaccinated, and the problem will be solved. The problem here is not the fact that not everyone's getting vaccinated. The problem is the vaccines are not enough. Number one. But also number two, what we also tell you in this debate as the University of Zimbabwe, we tell that this vaccine also was approved under emergency, meaning that it's not gone under all the tests that it needs to go. So you can't really, as a government, force things down 13 million people that you don't necessarily know the impacts on, the consequences of. The drug has not had the point that it has. But also, a citizen's ability and right to say no is more important. Because if you have a 10% unknown chance in terms of the side effects of the vaccine, but a less than percentage chance of dying from COVID-19, it means the mathematics are not balanced for a favor of a vaccine. So why allow a person to go against the odds and take a vaccine where they can do what they believe is safe for them? Understand that there are many things that are bad for you. Alcohol is bad for you, smoking is bad for you, but we don't ban those things and we don't force people to do certain things.
Stop. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Opposers, for your closing remarks. Affirmative team, are you ready with your final? All right, your clock starts now.
What we are saying is mandatory vaccination is better than the alternatives or penalties for non-compliance to these vaccines. As Ty has already said, what we are talking about is the issue that people should be forced and be vaccinated. We have also said that you are supposed to have a policy that is going to aid and therefore trying to ensure that people get this vaccine. What we are saying is we are going to start, the policy is going to take at the frontline workers, the healthcare workers, the ones who are in front, who are dealing with this pandemic firsthand. So this is therefore going to, first we are going to terminate their licenses. And after terminating the licenses, we imprison the person for not complying because they are at risk first, because they deal with this virus. And what we are saying also, is the fact that although vaccination provides immunity, we are also noting the fact that the COVID-19 vaccine does not offer like 100% immunity. But what we are saying is we are giving those people a chance to get this vaccine so that we deal with the new variants that are taking a surge, especially the third wave that is now taking place in Africa currently and all over the whole world, needless I say. We are also talking about, they also mentioned that Britain has revised that Britain is not forcing its citizens to be vaccinated, but it has dealt with, the increase in the number of cases. What we are saying is Britain has revised its policy and it's not forcing. So if that cannot be a clear case, we are saying that maybe we have to revise, maybe not to force, but what we are saying is now that as Zimbabwe, we have to force to get to that, get to that state. And emergency or not, we're saying it's been 2 years now since we've been living with the virus. And if you're saying that people have been, reluctant, they're not reluctant actually, you're saying that people have been accepting of the vaccines. Where were the people when the vaccines first came to the country? Were there those lines or people were skeptical to get that vaccine? It has been, now there are lines that you have mentioned at Parenya to Harare Hospital. The lines are there because of the surge and the third wave, and they are afraid of that. So what we're saying is, if we enforce those laws, people are going to be vaccinated, people are going to get vaccinated, everyone is going to move towards being vaccinated. And what we are saying as Lupane State University is that ultimately, the end justifies the means. The government is supposed to force the people to get vaccinated because it's for the greater good of the people. Thank you.
All right, you're seeding with 18 minutes to... That is cheeky. Why are you this person? Nadia, behave yourself. 18 seconds to go. They've ceded that time to me. Now would be a very good time to tell you as the audience that we have, of course, been observing COVID protocol throughout this program, as the health of everybody involved is of the utmost importance to us. Now, we are going to take a break and head over to the condomized desk, but when we come back, we are losing 2 universities. 2 sets are leaving the competition, leaving us with 8 teams to go. Now, of course, we will then go through a second round with them, and the pressure is on, especially for Midland State University. They are the current trophy holders. Will they be able to retain their trophy? Will they take it back home another year, or will they cede it to a different university? Tell us your thoughts. Make sure you're dropping your comments. Of course, the hashtags to follow: hashtag SASI for Hope and hashtag SASI Debate 2021. Don't go anywhere. The condomized desk takes over.
And thank you so much for joining us. We continue to talk to young people who are excited, and also young people who are very, very, very knowledgeable of the matters that they have also been chosen to speak about. I'm joined by Ebenezer from the University of Zimbabwe. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Great. So let's talk about your debate. What was your topic?
Our topic was about mandatory vaccination and whether government should implement mandatory vaccination within Zimbabwe.
What was your position?
My position was that we shouldn't do so.
Okay. So first of all, let's get to understand your thought process. Why were you for that position?
The idea of mandatory vaccination, we do understand that COVID-19 is a real threat to our society, and we also appreciate the importance of vaccination. But I think that when you then say that a government is forcing you to do something, like you're injecting a liquid into your substance, each individual we live in a democratic country constitutionally, Section 3, each person has a right to decide what happens to their body to a certain extent. And especially if you consider the fact that COVID-19, in terms of people who don't have pre-existing conditions, the fatality rates are very, very low. So if I'm a healthy person and I'm like, why am I injecting something? Why should I be forced to do something to my body? I think that's about where the debate was about.
Interesting. Have you been vaccinated?
Personally, no.
You haven't?
No, yes, no, I haven't.
Would you possibly like to share
My reasons?
Yeah.
To be honest, the reason, like every time I've gone there, there've been like long queues, and it's like I might even get infected whilst I'm waiting in the queue, just get vaccinated. So if there weren't any queues, I would get vaccinated. No, definitely. But I don't think people should be forced to do so.
Lovely. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
We have covered Bulawayo Province, we have covered Mashonaland Central, Mashonaland West, Matabeleland South, and of course now we talk to a very beautiful young lady from Matabeleland North, from Lupane State University. Stachiswe, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Great, great. So welcome, and interesting that you are talking about vaccination?
Yes.
All right, so what was the subject matter in detail?
So basically, should it be mandatory or not? And then basically all my side were saying yes, it should be mandatory, facing the fact that it's now a part of our lives, and therefore the government should at least enact the paternalism where they don't care basically about the human rights or whatsoever, and make the decision that is good.
Why is this discussion or this topic important in this era, in this COVID-19 pandemic era?
Yeah, so the way I see it, I feel like this is where we are headed. That's where we're headed. We now have different variations of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Which means that whether we like it or not, we have to deal with the problem at hand. So the problem at hand is going to be everyone being vaccinated, so that at least we can all flatten the curve, not so that we can have loopholes. No, we don't want any loopholes or whatsoever. So hence the reason why it is so important for us to be having this trial.
So in no particular order, the institutions that are proceeding to the next round are as follows: the University of Zimbabwe, Chino University of Technology, National University of Science and Technology, Midland State University, Manicaland State University, Lupane State University, Gwanda State University, Africa, and finally Africa University. Congratulations to all the teams that are proceeding to the next round.
So if you were watching the SASI debate competitions last year, you remember that this was my sport. So I felt a bit nostalgic and decided we're going to move over to the condomized desk, kick Nikki out for a few minutes, just to show you that I still know what's what. And then I'm going to take... No, I'm joking. That's not what I'm going to do. All right, so joining me now, I have Gugu and Respect. We've unfortunately said goodbye to 2 teams today. We've said goodbye to the Bindura University of State Education, and we've also said goodbye to the great Zimbabwe University. Do you agree with that goodbye? Please let us know in the comments section. And who do you feel should have gone or should have stayed? Or what are your thoughts? Just let us know. Now, what we're doing here is drawing the next teams that will eliminate each other essentially, and Gugu and Respect are going to help me with that. So we're going to continue with the same process. Gugu, you're going to pick one team, and Respect, you're going to pick one team, and then Gugu is going to let us know who they will be up against. There's no vote review. All right, so we start off with Lupane, and that was our last one as well, wasn't it? They were the last ones in the previous round.
That's good. It's going against Gwanda State University.
And they're going up against Gwanda State University. So that's our first pairing for the second round. All right. All from the northern region. All right. Let's go for our second batch.
National University of Science and Technology.
All right. NUST is up against... He likes to sing. Okay.
Africa University.
Africa University. That is our second pairing. NUST and Africa University. All right. Third. Oh, that will not work, will it? All right. So let's refold these and put them back in. Okay. So it will not work. Okay. So to cover that, I'm going to take this, I'm going to do that, and we're going to have a shake-a-thon. You can see my hand moving, right? So you know I'm not trying to... Oh yes, that is very helpful, thank you. Okay, so we have tried to shuffle. Let's try this again. Google, let's maybe change the hand.
Midland State University.
All right, up against
National University of Science and Technology.
Respect, you seem to like these people. You are the one who just keeps picking them. You're suspicious. Oh, are you? That explains a lot. All right, so we're going to have, for our second pair, we will have Midland State University up against the National University of Science and Technology. That is set number 2. Set number 3, this changing of hands clearly works.
Well, we have Africa University.
The suspicions. Who are they going up against?
University of Zimbabwe.
University of Zimbabwe. That is pair number 4. And our final pair, ladies and gentlemen.
Manicaland State University.
Up against
Chino University of Technology.
Does it work?
Yes,
it does work.
It works. All right. So my job here is done. I'm going to go back to the studio now so we can begin round 2. Let's see. Who will be eliminated in round 2? Who will go forward? And who ultimately do we want to see in the finals? Make sure you are dropping your comments in the comments section. Hashtag SASI for Hope. Hashtag SASI Debate 2021. See you on the other side.
The draw for the next round is as follows. We have Gwanda State University versus Lupane State University, Midland State University versus NUST, National University of Science and Technology, Africa University versus the University of Zimbabwe, and the Manicaland State University versus the Chino University of Technology. Good luck to all the teams.
Hello, I'm Dion, and all I want to say is child type of thing.
Say what is your friend when you need help. Call